My name's Dwight Swanson, and what am I?
Well, Dwight, we thought we'd talk a little bit about your experiences in the World War. You were in the Air Force, weren't you?
Right, I was in the Air Force. Uh, my friends and neighbors greeted me on about September 1st, 1942, and I was drafted into the uh, service. At that time, I went to Hillfield, Ogden, Utah, and I was assigned to a truck group.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I saw a place to sign up for aerial gunnery, and I signed up for uh, gunnery and aerial gunner, and I went from there to Denver to be an armor gunner, and then from there I was assigned to said sign up for cadets. So from there I went to St. Cloud, Minnesota, and served 3 months up there, going to school to be a pilot. Uh, got to Santa Ana, California, and at that time they were ready for D-Day, so they took all us aerial gunners and shipped us overseas. At that time, went across on the SS Brazil. It took us 15 days to get to England, and from there, I was assigned to the 457th Bomb Group, 749th Squadron, and that was at Latin, England, and that's about 60 miles north of London. And from there, we flew out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I didn't fly on D-Day, but I flew the 17th of June, and we supported the troops. First, first trip was St. Lo, uh, which was sort of a milk run, although we did hit flak, and that was a short trip. Uh, the three major targets I hit was, or I rode along in the airplane to hit because I was a ball turret gunner. Uh, I got in with a shoehorn and out with a can opener.
Yeah.
And
Well.
at the three major targets were Hamburg. At Hamburg, they shot flak at us that was box flak, they called it. One gun would shoot low and the other one would shoot high. And then at that particular time, you looked out and you thought you could get out and walk on it. I've seen airplanes go down. At Hamburg, I saw one airplane get knocked off our left wing, and two chutes got out. Uh, the other major targets we hit was Leipzig and Munich. At Munich, we were shot down. Uh, when we went to fly to a long trip like Munich, they'd get us up at like around
Mm-hmm.
midnight and give us breakfast, and then they would brief us and tell us what target we was going to hit and how much flak or how much fighter we should encounter. And then we would take off in the morning, and it would take a long, long time to form a group of 1,400 airplanes. So at when we hit Munich, we were flying about 28, 30,000 feet. I was in the ball turret, crossing the target, and we were in a four-gun battery. The first, the first shot went off our right wing, the next one went off our right bomb bay. The second one went off our left bomb bay, and the fourth one hit our number one engine. Now, if you know what a Wright 14-cylinder engine is, it hangs on a ring, on the wing of an airplane. The ring is fastened, and they bolt the engine to that ring. Well, our number one engine was completely gone. It took our airplane and tossed it in the air like a matchbox. How high, I don't know, but when it came down, I was working my vault turret gunner to make sure that I had all the controls and electricity was still working. And I looked out at that ring on the left wing out there on number one, and I told the pilot, "Feather number one," and he called me every name under the sun. He said, "There's no engine out there." So after that, we did manage to get to Switzerland, although all three engines were losing oil pressure. And we landed at Payerne, Switzerland, escorted in by the Swiss Air Force. And from then, we spent a couple of weeks in Adelboden, Switzerland, because of quarantine. And after that, they took us to Wangen, Switzerland. How we got to Wangen was on a cog car. If you know what a cog car is, it's like an escalator or something that it just pulls the car up to
Right up the mountain.
Right up the mountain.
Wow.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where we were. We were fortunate. We lived in motels or hotels, and we were guarded by Swiss guards, and we were treated fine, but we didn't have anything to eat really. So I always said that they took a straw off of the wall and drug it through the water and made soup out of it, and hung it back on the wall for the next day. So after a while in Switzerland, I did have a little help. My buddy and I said, let's get out of here. When you were briefed back in the States, it was always get back to your lines as quick as possible. So I thought, well, we should get out of here. So as a result, we had some help from some Swiss people, and we rode out first class. I had civilian clothes on, but my buddy had his army pants on that were kind of a telltale, but nobody ever thought we'd ride first class out on a train. So naturally we were nervous, and when we got to Interlaken to change trains to Geneva, we were walking down there, and a couple of Swiss guards come walking toward us, and the only thing I knew was to say we, and they walked away from us. So at that time we were fortunate, and from there we went to Geneva, and our friend got us into what was called the Hotel d'Angleterre, and I signed in as U.S. Embassy. At that time, we got to our room, and the phone rang and said, "Just who in the hell are you?" And I said, "Staff Sergeant Dwight Swanson, 36366-246, sir." And he says, "I don't give a damn what you do. Sign anything you want, but stay away from us." We stayed in Switzerland. We stayed at Geneva for a while, and by the way, when we were in Geneva, there was some guys that were escaping, and we went to see them, and they were peeking out the windows behind the curtains, and they had the bottle of whiskey sitting on a table with a shot glass, just like in the movies. So we we got the hell out of there. We didn't want no part of that, you know. But after a while, they said that they were going to escape. Where it came from, I don't know. But they load us into trucks, just like you see in the movies, with crates of celery or cabbage or whatever it is stuck in the back of us, and we rode inside. They took us out in the country where we went. I don't know. It was pitch dark. And they dropped us off, and there was about 25 or 30 of us. Could even been 50, far I know. But we were walking through the fields and the cabbage or whatever it was out there, and it was raining. And one smart, I got to be careful what I call him, talked to our leader that was supposed to be leading us out. He didn't talk English, and he didn't talk his language. What it was, I don't know. But he asked him if we were in Switzerland yet. We hadn't crossed any lines or anything, so all of a sudden he yelled out, "Hey, we're in Switzerland!" And when we did get to the border, there the Swiss guards were all standing there with guns waiting for us. And as good soldiers, they all lined up and started marching, where the soldiers were pointing them. And somehow my feet said go backwards, so I walked backwards, and I hid in the bush. And there were guards went one way, and the rest of the guys went the other way. And after I thought it was safe, I made one big leap over about an 8-foot fence and landed into France. And at that time, I seen one other guy there. He was there in a white trench coat. If you want to escape, don't wear white. No. So, but then we went. We didn't know where we were at in France. We went, walked along, and it was pitch black. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face, and I did see some little slits of light over there, and it was a tavern. And we opened the door and went in, and everybody scattered. There wasn't the Germans had just left at that particular time, I found out. And yeah, and finally a little waitress come out to talk to us, real timid like, you know, and I had this sheet that was supposed to be French to English and so forth, but it don't do any good if they can't read. No. So I did have 3,000 Swiss francs in my escape kit, and I said, wine, you know, wine. That's the only thing I knew. American wine, and everybody did come out.
Very nice.
I bought wine for the house.
All right.
Big deal.
Yeah, oh, it's nice.
So, anyway, we thought it was time. We asked anybody where the American troops were. Nobody. They're all tight-lipped, you know. They're afraid to say anything. So we went outside, and one guy went like this. So what the hell? We couldn't speak his language. He couldn't speak ours, so we followed him. And at that time, I seen two little slits coming down the road, which was a 4x4. And I hollered out, "Hey, Sarge!" Believe it or not, he stopped. And he loaded us in a truck, his 4x4, and took me and this other fellow. I couldn't tell you the guy's name to this day, what it was. I never did.
Hmm.
introduced to him. But he took us to Leon, Lions, and at that place they fed us, and did we eat? Oh, it was good. Eggs, bacon, fried potatoes, the whole works. Milk, and milk we hadn't had for a long time. So then they flew us back to England from that place. Uh, I was in England for a few times, a few days. They flew us back to the States. I was at the Pentagon, and the Pentagon wanted to know why I escaped. I guess I violated the Geneva Convention. So from there, they sent me to Laredo, Texas to be a gunnery instructor. From there, I went to Moline, Illinois, Rock Island, Illinois, and was a recruiting sergeant for a while. And from there, after that, I was discharged in 1945.
Well, Dwight, that's an incredible story. And let's see, I'd like to get back to some of this stuff if I could.
Sure.
Um, when you were training, what was training like to become a gunnery sergeant or
Well,
ball turret gunner?
we was in Vegas at the time, and they would have schooling, and then they would take us up in an airplane and let us fire caliber 30 machine guns at a flying target. Airplane would pull a canvas behind it or whatever it was, and we'd shoot at it. At one time, they had rubber bullets, and we fired rubber bullets at an airplane that had just like a pinball machine that if you hit it, that would light up in there and tell you how many times you hit it.
I never heard of that.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Wow.
I think they got in trouble with that because they didn't keep it up. So.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. And during your missions, did you ever have a chance to fire at the enemy?
Well, I fired.
Mm-hmm.
Not too often. We didn't see too many airplanes, but he was hoping you didn't have to fire
No.
because, boy, when you were firing two machine guns up here, those hot clips come out, and
Oh my God, yeah.
they were really hot when they hit you. So, but no, it was better off we didn't see those.
Sure enough.
It was bad enough with a flak.
Uh, were there any like tips that you have when you were, tricks of the trade, so to speak? Things they tell you to do or look out for, or
Well, they brief you before you go, and each mission is different because they tell you where you're supposed to. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to hit at that point, but that's where they
yeah,
tell
I
you.
meant like one gunner to another would say, well, this is what you should be doing,
Oh,
and this is
sure.
what you shouldn't be doing.
You had we naturally, from 12 to 3 to 6 to 9,
Mm-hmm.
and you would say, well, coming in low, coming in high at 3 o'clock, coming in 12 o'clock. Of course, I was in the ball turret, and only thing I saw was ground, really.
Mm-hmm.
After everything happened,
Yeah.
that's all I saw.
So
But we did have, what we carried was 500-pound bombs.
mm-hmm.
We carried 12 500-pound bombs, unless we carried incendiaries. That way we'd carry more. But our load was 1,200 or 12 500-pound bombs. So at one time we dropped our bombs, but one hung in the rack.
Oh.
And it was my job to get it loose.
Oh my God, how did you do that?
I just shook on it till it fell out. I stood in the bomb bay looking down there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. Of course, this has been 60
Yeah,
some
long,
years
long
ago.
time, huh? Well, you know, it strikes me like that plane. It was a B-17, I guess. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we were on a
It
B-17.
could take a heck of a beating from what you were telling me about that mission to Munich.
Oh yeah, they were. There's our missions come back with generally a whole bunch of holes through the airplane. You know, it all depends. When you had to. It's nothing but skin on that, or real thin aluminum on that airplane. You know, and that shrapnel when it goes through it, it just rips it apart. So uh, we were lucky. I used to say, to tell everybody, if you're not coming back, don't get on this airplane because I am.
Way to
So,
go.
but
So, my goodness, looking back at this thing, did you meet any interesting people while you were in the service?
I'll tell you what, I, I, I was in. Let's see, I was in 36 camps in 39 months that I was in the service, and I hardly had chance to say hi to anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, by the way, our Tom Dalrymple, my gunner, was with me on the escape here, but he got picked up and went to Warhuila-Most, which was a prison in Switzerland. Uh, I never heard from him since, but they tell me in that prison they didn't eat very well and they slept on straw beds, and I'm glad I didn't get caught because I probably wouldn't have lasted long. So.
You know, sometimes you look back, we have sense memories. Not only things that we've seen, but things we hear, the things we smell, and so on. Being up there in that B-17, what was it like? What did you feel? Did you smell? What were the sounds like on a mission? You know,
I was only about 23 years old, you know.
yeah,
Who
yeah.
give a darn?
Right. Was it cold up there? Very cold?
Oh well, yeah, well, sure it was. We wore, uh, I'm sorry, we wore heated boots, heated suits, but I had a boot go out on me once, and
Oh my.
it 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 probably was at the time was a catastrophe, but now you look back at it and laugh at it. So actually, it's things you forget at this particular time. Uh, you you don't remember every little incident, that's for sure. So,
Yeah.
but
So you came back and you resumed your life. Guess you got married.
oh, I got married in the service.
Uh huh.
I went in 42. We got married in August 31st of 43. I've been married 61 years now.
My goodness.
Yeah. And I went, believe it or not, I went farming.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been a farmer ever since. But in 1960, I went into the real estate and insurance business. I only farmed 80 acres, and I had to send my girls we do have 3 daughters,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to send them to college. So I figured I better get something to send them to college on. But so I got in the real estate business, and it was an excellent for me. I was
Mm.
happy with it. How's that say?
Absolutely great. Well, we're sitting here in the lovely home of one of your daughters. If you don't mind, I'm
Right.
just going to pan the camera over here, get a little idea of
Sure.
this very, very beautiful place. Um, and you must be very proud of her, Candy. She's got a very nice position here in Venice, Florida.
Yes, she is. We are very proud of her, and she's the principal of Venice High School.
Mm.
In fact, she's been very good to us right now. We went to all our school program. We went to the basketball game where the girls got second in the state.
Yeah,
So
they're great this
that
year.
was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm
And she's
impressive.
proud of them. And I think I wasn't here for the volleyball team, but they got second in the state. So they're doing real well.
Mm,
So,
that's wonderful. And you have the other daughters too.
oh, I do have the other daughters. I've got a daughter in Champaign, Illinois, that actually run a school bus system, and then they run a travel agency, and now they're both retired. So,
Mm.
of course, they're in I think they're in the real estate business because they bought a bunch of houses. So.
Well, follow a good
And
example,
we
huh?
do have a tag-along daughter.
What's
Her
that?
name is Tamra,
Mm-hmm.
and she's married to Gary Dines, who's a farmer along.
Dwight, I don't quite get, I don't understand that phrase. Tag along daughter. That's.
Well, our other daughters were 13,
Oh,
12
oh,
and
oh,
13
oh,
when
oh,
she was born.
I
So,
got it. Okay. Well, my
so
goodness.
I didn't know my wife was going to get serious.
Ah, ah. So you met in 1942 you were in the service.
Oh, yeah.
How did you meet
Well,
your wife?
we were dancers. My brother and I tap danced. We were from. Uh, I talk about that, but nobody ever heard of the. we we danced at the Hotel Sherman in Chicago, along with Roy Skipstead and his ice show. And I'm sorry, but that hotel is torn down now.
Mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and my wife and I did the Adagio and ballroom dancing together.
Ah,
So uh, we really never had a date. We just got married, I guess.
no,
So
just
had
that.
had the first daughter about 8 years later. So,
Wow, 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 wow.
so
So it's been a good life. I guess, if somebody were looking at this interview maybe many years from now, and are there any thoughts you could leave us with in terms of your time in the service or anything else?
I I I always tell everybody I never went to work a day in my life. And the first day I found out I was going to work, that's the day I'd quit. So I don't know.
Well, you're
I just I figure that I'm the luckiest man in the world. I'm here and I've had a good life and the family is wonderful. So you got you about granddaughters and great granddaughters. You'd have to ask my wife. I'm not up on that.
well, you've shared some wonderful things, and I'd just like to thank you for talking to us today.
Well, thank you. So nice meeting you, Ted.
You bet.